kod education mamoko gi kata somo mamoko gi.
A number of people really don't see the difference.
Ji mang'eny ok ne pogruok.
They even think that it's just pride on the part of the church.
Giparo ni ena bedo mamor mar kanisa.
Adventist education, I mean, that's nothing.
Adventist education ok en gimoro.
But let me explain the rationale and you'll understand it.
To we awacha nena matut nyanonro ne mondo wawinjane.
So Adventist education is Christian education.
Puonj mar Adventista en puonj mar Kristo
from the perspective of Adventists.
Kwa ng'iye e wang'a yo mar Adventista kaka Adventista ng'iye.
Christian education according to how Adventists understand it.
Puonj mar Kristo kaluwore gi kaka jok marito duok Yesu mar ariyo chi mar abiriyo ng'iye.
What is the purpose of education?
Ang'o momiyo ji somo?
In Africa,
pinywa mar Afrika,
the purpose of education is to achieve three things.
Gimomiyo ji somo en mondo wayud gik moko adek.
To alleviate ignorance,
mondo wagol kia.
To alleviate poverty,
mondo wagol dhier.
And to alleviate disease,
mondo wagol tuoche.
We call it the tragic triad.
Waluonge ni triangle mar adek.
Now for people who are not teachers,
jok ma ok gin jopuonj,
the school system was introduced
skunde no kelnwa
as a method of teaching our children
mondo kaka gima nyalo puonjonwa nyithindo
to solve the problems that are in the society.
Mondo okel solution kata okel duoko e shida ma wantiere godo e alwora.
Education is supposed to help the learner.
Ni somo onego bed ni konyo japuonjre
come out and solve the problem in the society.
Owuogoko mondo chiu geno ne community kata kama wadake.
When somebody comes from school,
kanga to a school,
he should become a problem solver.
Onego bed ngat mantiere gi duoko ma opogore opogore.
He should not become part of the problem.
Ok onego ni embo bedo chandruok.
That explains why the curriculum in Kenya is being changed.
Mane momiyo kaka somo mar Kenya iloko.
Because 844 did not seem to solve the problems that are in the society.
Nikech somo mane wantiere godo mane nyathi somo nyaka class 8 to dhi nyaka form 4 to dhi nyaka university cha nokel duoko ma wantiere godo shida ma wantiere go e community.
So the society where the problem is the one that decides which education the children should have.
Ni alwora ma wadakie emonego onyiswa somo ma nyathi onego yudi.
That's why when the government wants to change educational system, they move around, they meet businessmen.
Mane momiyo ka sirikal dwa loko somo to nyaka gimany paro mag ji mopogore opogore.
Housewives,
jok ma rito nyithindo,
youth,
vijende,
doctors,
dakteche,
farmers,
jopur.
They should explain the problem they are experiencing.
Nyaka gilera inya shida magikale.
So that the government may design a curriculum which
mondo sirikal olos chik mar somo
when a learner has gone through it
makopo ni nyathi oyudo
will make him solve the problem.
Bro miyo nyathino bedo gi duoko mag shida mantiere e community kata e alworawa.
Now, according to world education,
kaluwore gi gik puonj ma wayudo e piny ka,
I gave the example of Africa.
Nwachiwo ranyisi mar Africa.
The problem is disease, ignorance and poverty.
Ni chandruok maduong' ma wantiere godo e gwengewa en kia kaachiel to kod dhier to kod tuoche.
It is not therefore surprising that when your child goes to school,
oken gima buogo ng'ato ni kopo ni nyathi odhi e school,
you expect him to get a job,
idwa ni mondo nyathino yud tich,
come and remove you from poverty.
Mondo duogo goli e dhier.
So it is not bad to expect a job after you have left university.
Koro ken gima rach mondo yud tich kata ing'e ni nyathi dhi yudo tich kosetieko university.
Now, according to the Seventh-day Adventist Church,
Kaluwore gi chenro mar kanisa mar Seventh Day Adventist,
the problem of man is not disease, ignorance, and poverty.
Ni chandruok ma dhano nitiere godo ok en kia kaachiel to kod dhier kaachiel kod tuoche.
The problem of man is sin.
Ni chandruok mar dhano kaluwore gi chenro mar Seventh Day Adventist en richo.
Sin is what brings poverty.
Ni richo ema kelo dhier.
Sin is what brings disease.
As richo e gima kelo tuoche.
Most diseases come because people have disobeyed God.
Ni tuoche mang'eny wayudo nikech wadhi ataro mar dwaro mar Nyasaye.
Sin is ignorance of God.
Ni richo en bedo kia Nyasaye.
That's why when we move around preaching the gospel,
Mane momiyo kopo ni wadhi kendo wayalo injili,
we are bringing light to your heart.
ikelo ler e chunyi.
The Bible uses statements like being saved from darkness to light.
Muma wacho ni iwari kia e mudho tidhi e ler.
Being saved from ignorance to knowledge and wisdom.
Iwari kia e kia tidhi e ng'eyo.
Jesus to us, says Paul,
Yesu kawuoyo kodwa kokalo kuom Paulo,
is the wisdom of God.
en e ng'eyo mar Nyasaye.
So the Adventist Church understands that
Koro jo-Adventista winjo niya,
the problem of man is the sin problem.
ni chandruok maduong' ma dhano nitiere godo en richo.
If education will not deal with the sin problem,
Ni kopo ni somo mwasomo ok nyal golowa e richo,
then that is not true education.
ni mano ok en somo mar adiera.
Matthew 16 verse 26.
Mathayo 16 wes auchiel.
Matthew 16 verse 26.
Mathayo 16 wes 26.
It says,
Owacho,
for what profit is it to a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul?
ni ere gima ber kopo ni dhano oyudo ngima duto to lalo chunye.
Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul?
Ni ere gima dhano nyalo gwenyo godo chunye, nyalo chiwo kar chunye.
Unaona, 1 John chapter 2 verse 15 to 17, I'll paraphrase it because I believe that you've read it.
Johana 2 wes 15 wadhi wache machuok.
It says, do not love the world
Owacho ni kik wer piny
or the things that are in the world.
kata gik mantie piny.
What is in the world is the lust of the flesh,
Gima nitiere piny en gombo mar ringre,
the pride of life,
bedo gi sunga mar chuny,
and the lust of the eyes.
to kod bedo gi gombo mar wang'.
Let's look at the lust of the flesh.
We wang'i anena gombo mar ringre.
Education,
Yudo somo,
riches,
bedo gi mwandu,
and rank.
kendo bede okang'.
Why do people want to be governors, members of parliament,
Ang'o momiyo
MCS?
dhano dwa ni mondo obed
President.
joma dongo dongo, president, MPs.
You are looking for rank
Wadwa ni mondo wabede okang' moro,
so that when you pass mheshimiwa habari,
mondo kopo ni kalo timosi ni jatelo ber,
mheshimiwa habari,
jatelo ber,
and you feel you are important.
to iwinjo ni intiere gi nengo.
Lust of the flesh.
Mano endo gombo mar ringre.
That's the pride of life. Please,
Mano
that's
endo en sunga
the
mar
pride of life.
sunga mar chuny.
Education, riches, and rank.
Somo, mwandu kaachiel to kod okang'.
People are looking for wealth.
Dhano manyo mwandu.
Men are looking for wealth more than women.
Joma chuo manyo mwandu moingo joma mon.
Men worship money.
Joma chuo lamo pesa.
When I was at school in Segero, I did a small interview.
Kane en japuonj Segero notimo nyanonro moro machuok.
A small research. I was discussing with a certain madam.
Go mbaka gi madam moro.
And so I told her, I asked her a question.
Na penjo.
If you are asked to give only one desire of your life, only one.
Nikoponi onyisi ni mondo iwach gimiero ahinya ngimani.
If you get that one, all your problems are over.
Niki yudo gino endo to chandruogi te olosore.
Which one would it be?
Mane madichier?
She said, a good husband.
Nowacho ni dichuo maber.
I told her, now I'm going to ask male teachers when they come to the staff room, I'll be asking that question.
Koro nowacho ni jopuonj machuo be
and you will see the answers they'll give.
And idhi winjo duoko magichiwo.
So one church elder came.
Koro jakwadh kanisa moro biro.
One thing that you would want above everything.
Nopenjo ni ang'o ma inyalo dwaro ewi gik moko duto te.
He said riches.
Owacho ni mwandu.
Okay, I said sit down. We waited for another one.
When
the other one came, a man. One thing that you would like over others. He said, of course, it is obvious, money.
No
single man ever said a good wife or a good family. Interestingly, all the madams that entered the staff room, they were saying a good family, a good husband, a good family, a good husband. So I realized, hey, kumbe men, what they look for is money. The pride of life. And education. Hey, I am Dr. Opanda Wamalika.
I'm Dr. Opanda Wamalika.
I'm Professor Opanda Wamalika.
I'm Professor Opanda Wamalika.
The Minister for Interior, Kindiki Kidure, one day when he was vying to be a senator,
telo mochung ne arita kwe chieng moro kan ochung mondo bed senator.
He engaged in debate with the then current the senator at that time.
Ne gintiere etwak gi senator manitiyo.
So they were discussing in the television.
Koro ne gingo mbaka e TV.
So the senator at that time kept on referring to Kindiki as Mr. Kindiki.
Kendo koro ngama ne wuoyo no noero ka no wuoyo gi Kindiki to nyise ni Mr. Kindiki.
And Kindiki kept on reminding him, Bwana Senator, I am not Mr. Kindiki, I'm Professor Kindiki.
Kindiki ne temo paro ne Bwana Senator okan Mr. Kindiki, an Professor Kindiki.
How many times will I remind you that I'm Professor Kindiki?
Nya didi mabro paro nini an Professor Kindiki.
I'm not saying you stop going to school.
Okawach ni mondo iwe this school.
But to many people, you go to school so that you may get that title.
But jimangeny this school mondo wayud title.
Instead of going to school to get knowledge,
instead mar this school mondo wayud
you go to get a title.
Jimangeny this school mondo yud.
That is nonsense.
Mano ken gimoro manigi nengo.
It's the pride of life.
Koponi sunga mar chuny.
What will it benefit you for you to be a professor and you lose your soul? You have heard of the story of a person, a professor in Japan, who wanted to cross to the next island. And he found somebody with a boat. And he told him, I would like to cross to the next island. How much money will you charge me? He said 1,000 Kenya shillings. So he entered the boat and the man started driving the boat. While they were in the middle of the waters, the professor kept on asking the boatman, do you know philosophy? The boatman says, I don't know. He said, a quarter of your life is gone. Do you know psychology? The boatman said, I don't know. He said, half of your life is gone. Do you know hematology? 2 quarters of your life is gone. Before he continued with the questions, the wind came and started blowing heavily. And the boat wanted to capsize. So the boatman looked behind and asked him, "Do you know how to swim?" The professor says, "I don't know." Then he said, "All of your life is gone." I hope you know what I'm illustrating. Adventists teach that while these things in the world are good, if they have nothing to do with alleviating the sin problem, then they are useless. Therefore, according to Adventist Church, education for redemption there is where we have a problem. Let me tell you, a teacher is the most influential person in the life of a child in the world. I was a teacher longer than I am a pastor. And I want to tell all parents and fathers here, a teacher is more than a parent. A teacher influences your child for good or for worse. Which kind of teacher do you give your child? Now listen to this research that was done by Solusi University. In cooperation with Andrews University. And the leaders of that research were Thayer and Thayer. Jerome Thayer and Jane Thayer. Those are scholars on Adventist education. Listen. They considered 1,000 people who came from Adventist families and learned through Adventist schools from class 1 to university. They wanted to know whether Adventist schools can influence a child. And another category on the extreme left, 1,000 people who came from Adventist families but never stepped in an Adventist school from class 1 to university. Those 1,000 who came from Adventist universities, who came from Adventist families, and throughout their schooling went through Adventist schools only. Only one person remained an Adventist. 999 left the church. Of 1,000 people who came from Adventist families and never stepped in Adventist schools, now, the first group was those who were in Adventist schools throughout, isn't it?
Group mokwongo ne gin jok mane nitiere eskunde eskunde kanisa kande.
So we want to be sure of these two groups. The first group, they never stepped in an Adventist school.
Ni mokwongo 1000 ka gin school mane gidhie ne gin mana skunde jo Adwen.
999 remained Adventist in good and regular standing. Only one person left the church.
Ni ji 999 nodong jo kanisa motegno ng'at achiel kende emano wuok oko.
But for 1000 who never stepped in an Adventist school,
ni to ji 1000 mamoko mano okonyono kata skunde mag kanisa,
after university,
bang balariany,
only 2 remained Adventist.
Ni ji 2 kende emano dong jo Adwen.
998 left the church.
Ji 998 nowe kanisa.
If in your life you have never stepped in an Adventist school,
kopo ni engimani pok ni dhie skul mar jo Adwen,
and you are an Adventist,
to in ja Adwen,
if you are a serious Adventist,
ka in ja Adwen motegno,
then you are among the 2.
Then in ariyo
otherwise you are an Adventist by name, but by character you are not.
Kokamano to ina ja Adwen gi nying lakini kiti okin.
Therefore, Adventist education affects a student.
Emomiyo somo michwalo gi kanisa chiko ngima nyathi.
Thank you. Now, so that's the rationale of Advent. I want to talk for less than 5 minutes actually. That's the rationale. Then the remaining are questions which I want. Somebody should prepare that thing.
Ng'atolos mic mondo omiji kadwa penjo an mana gi dakika 5 kende.
I've given the rationale of Adventist education.
Asechiwo nyanonro mar somo mar
Number 2, Adventist education has a curriculum.
Mar ariyo, somo mar Adwen nitiere to kod chenro.
Yeah. If the world educational system collapses, we Adventists have our education.
Kopo ni somo nyanonro kata gik machiko somo mag piny ni endi orumbore piny,
we have subjects,
tok nyal podho.
We have subjects we can teach.
Nitiere gik ma wanyalo puonjo.
And the institutions that should teach a child Adventist education is school, church, family.
Kendo kuonde ma onego nyithindo go some gin skunde ma itayo kod kanisa.
Now,
koro
Adventist schools are in trouble.
Skunde mag kanisa nitiere chandruok.
In Kenya, Adventist education is not performing well.
E Kenya ka skunde magwa mitayo gi kanisa ok tim maber ahinya.
What is the reason for that?
Ang'o momiyo mano timore?
I want you to contribute, then I'll come to finish. But before I finish,
adwa ni mondo umbugole pachu kasto atieko, to kapok watieko,
do you know that this CBC is Adventist education?
Bing'eyo ni somo masani ma ichwalo mar CBC ni en mar Adventist?
It is the original 844.
And 844 ni kane pok oloke.
And when Moi started 844, the person who drafted 844 rationale,
ni koponi kane Moi chako somo makorigolo mar 844 ng'ama nondike
was a professor in Baraton University called Dr. Green.
Nen somo moro Baraton University mar kanisa miluongo ni Dr. Green.
CBC is nothing but Adventist education.
CBC oken gimoro lakini en chenro mar somo mar jo Advent chwalo.
The devil has attacked Adventist education because he knows he's the best.
Jachien osegoyo somo mar jo Adventist nikech ong'eyo gima en.
Now before I come to close, I would like you to contribute.
Kapok watieko to adwa ni mondo umbugole pachu.
Who is the let me see your hands, those people who want to contribute or to ask questions.
Jiadi mantiere kod penjo kata madwa medo gimoro. Ane kod bat.
Nani wanataka kuuliza maswali?
Mantie gi penjo kata mantiere gi medo.
Ama wanataka kucontribute?
Kata ka in gi medo ntiere bat moro kocha.
Yes, kuja huku mbele.
inyalo chorori machiegni.
Weka hapa viti vitatu. Oh, tuko na viti hapa. Please, wale ambao wanataka contribute haraka maswali kuja keti hapa.
Kopo ni ntiere gimedo kata penjo inyalo biro ibedo mbele koni.
Undeni mikrofoni.
Walos gir chwalo duol.
Akina mama wanataka contribute wako wapi?
Minewa madwa medo ere.
Maswali
kata penjo.
Chukua hapa mikrofoni, chukua mikrofoni hapa.
Inyalo kao gir kodwol.
Come here and contribute or ask a question. Asimama hapa uliza, wacha sisi tuketi.
Thank you. I'm called Victor Charles.
Iluonge ni Victor Charles.
I want to contribute on the reason as to why some of the Adventist schools are not doing well.
Adwa mana lero matin gimomiyo skunde mag jo Adwen ok tim maber.
More often than not,
kata obedo kamano,
nyadi ng'enye yudo ka skunde wa mag Adwen
iyudo ka sometimes you find in our Adventist education
jonyuol magin jo Adwen,
our Adventist parents,
they do push rejects to such schools.
They gikao nyithindo ma orem to gitere skundego.
For instance,
kuom ranyisi,
when I have 2 children
ka ntiere gi nyithindo ariyo
and one gets 350 marks,
moro yudo 250,
he gets a chance at maybe Kanyawanga or Orero.
Yudo chance Kanyawanga kata Orero.
And one gets 250.
Tomorrow yudo 250.
Gets a calling letter from Ojodepala.
Yudo luong koa Ojodepala.
I look for Kagoro girls for this one who has received a letter for Ojodepala.
Abo manyo Kagoro ne nyathi moyudo 250 ni moluongo Ojodepala.
Sitasumbuka kutafuta shule kwa yule aliye kuachwa chance katika Agoro Sari.
Okadhi manyo chance Kagoro ne nyathi manoyudo moluong Agoro Sari cha.
So in a nutshell,
machuok,
we do take rejects to the Adventist schools. Thank you.
Wakao nyithindo morem to watero e skunde jo Adwen.
Come and contribute. Why do we take rejects to Adventist schools and good people to non-Adventist schools? Okay, continue.
Thank you. I just have an addition.
Antiere to kod medo.
I happen to teach in a non-Adventist institution.
Apuonjo e kanis e school maok tagi kanisa.
And the Adventist faith
kendo yie mar SDA
is really respected.
Oluore kabisa.
In fact, if you walk into these across all institutions from extra county to nationals,
ki chako limo skunde mapinya kama malo,
you will realize that in those schools Adventists are given time to worship from morning to evening.
Ibo yudo ni skunde go omijo Adventista thuolo mondo lem are okinyi nyako dhiambo.
Especially the schools sponsored by ACK.
Sana skunde ma kanisa ochungnegi.
A student who comes from home with a strong Adventist background,
nyathi ma adala kotegno e kanisa,
who is taught to observe the doctrines of the church by parents,
ma opuonj gi janyuolne mondo orit chike mag Nyasaye,
they will never
ok gibi dhi ataro,
disrespect to God,
ok gibi dhi ataro mar chike mag Nyasaye,
and you will find them in church every Sabbath from morning to evening.
Kendo ibo yudo gi kanisa sabato ka sabato okinyi nyako dhiambo.
And the privilege that is given to them by those other denominations,
kendo gima malo mimiyo gi skundego,
they make good use of it.
Gitiyo kodgi maber.
But
kata kamano,
in the same institutions,
skundego,
you will find a student from a home where the parents are Adventists.
Ibo yudo nyathi ma e dala ma jonyuolge gin jo Adventista.
But I don't know what we teach them.
To ok puonj gi maber.
When the day of Sabbath kicks in,
koponi chieng' sabato ochopo,
they are the first ones to rush to class.
gine magi kuongo dhi e class.
They are the first ones to discourage others from worship.
Gine magi temo goyo chuny jok madhi kanisa.
If we want our students and our children to maintain their faith in God,
wadwa ni mondo nyithindwa obed gi dongo maber kuom chik mag Nyasaye.
because a child who is properly trained by the parent,
Nyathi maber mopuonj gi janyuolne,
even when the situations change, their faith will remain steadfast.
kata koponi gik moko tek to yiene bro chung motegno.
Because we're living in a world where things are mixed up,
Nikech wadak e piny ma gik moko riwore.
and at times you would not want to lose the good opportunities that place you in those big schools.
Nikech seche moko okidwa weyo gik mabeyo mantiere kuonde madongo go.
A true Adventist
To ng'at ma SDA motegno
is from the house.
en ochakore gi e ot.
And once they grasp the concept of the Adventism,
To ka gisemako puonj mag Nyasaye through Adventism,
no matter what happens,
kata ang'o matimore,
no matter the situation,
kata en okang' matek
they
manade,
will always keep the Sabbath.
pod gibro rito sabato.
So therefore, let us teach our children to be real Adventists.
Koro jonyuol wapuonju nyithindo mondo obed jo-adwen ma radiera.
Thank you, Mwalimu.
Erokamano japuonj.
We have some parents who don't have time for their children because of work.
Wantiere gi jonyuol maonge thuolo gi nyithindgi nikech tich.
The father has left
Ja wuoro osewuok.
to work, the mother has left to work.
Jonyuol te osedhi
The
tich.
children are in the hands of a maid.
Nyithindo koro dong' mana gi jakony
Unless the school comes to augment and save the situation,
mana koponi skul emobiro mochako loso gik moko mabeyo,
and unless the church comes and saves the situation,
mana koponi kanisa obiro mochako loso gik moko bedo mabeyo,
children from such a family, even if they go to a public Adventist sponsored school,
nyithindo makamago kata gidhi adhiye kanisni ma ochung'negi gi kanisa, skunde mochung'negi gi kanisa,
if the school will not reinforce what the church does and what the parents should have done, those children will go away.
koponi skul ok oriwo gima kanisa to kod skul onego bed ni timo, nyithindo go pod bro lal.
Because we started 15 minutes late,
nwadeko gi dakika 15,
we don't have time.
ok wantie kod thuolo.
I want to give concluding remarks.
Adwa ni mondo achiw wach mogik.
I've been a teacher for long.
Asebedo japuonj kuom
I've
thuolo.
taught public schools
Asepuonjo e skunde mag sirikal,
and I've taught Adventist schools.
kendo asepuonjo e skunde ma kanisa
By
tayo.
the way, I've taught all levels.
Asepuonjo e okenge te.
All levels of education in Kenya.
Okenge te mag somo.
Therefore, I can say something about education.
Antiere gi gima nyalo wacho kuom somo.
The reason why Adventist schools are performing poorly,
Gimomiyo skunde moko mag jo-adwen ok tim maber.
some of the reasons is that they don't retain good teachers.
En ni ok gibed gi jopuonj kuom thuolo
Because they don't pay them well.
nikech ok gichulgi maber.
Because the school fees is not big enough to sustain a good salary.
Nikech school fee michulo ok rom chulo jotich mag
If you
kanisa.
increase the school fees higher than the government schools, parents will take away their children.
Koponi jo-adwen, skunde mag jo-adwen omedo fee moloyo ma jo-sirikal chulo, jonyuol golo nyithindgi.
And because we are desperate of children,
Nikech koro wamanya nyithindo,
we lower the entry behavior. To Form 1, we say even if you have got 200 marks in KCPE, you can enter there.
koro wakawa nyithindo kata moyudo marks matin.
And because entry behavior is low, in Form 4 they perform low.
Nikech nyithindo donjo gi marks matin, kogik e Form 4 nyithindo be wuok gi marks
And because they perform low, no one is interested in bringing his child there except the one who failed.
Nikech nyithindo wuok gi marks matin, onge koro ng'ama dwaro skundego, mana jok ma nigi marks matin.
And parents who bring their children who failed are not serious in paying school fees.
Jonyuol be kelo nyithindgi ma ok otimo maber bende ok chul school fee.
Why should you struggle to pay school fees for a child who will bring you D or D minus anyway?
Ang'o michandori chulo ne nyathi school fee mabro kelo ni max matin.
And because the schools don't have enough money, they pay teachers miserably.
Nikech school bende koro onge gi pesa, gichulo jopuonj pesa matin.
Very low pay.
Pesa ichulo gi matin.
Inconsistent.
Salary mabiro pile
and the teachers don't teach with a commitment.
Jopuonj bende ok puonj ka chunygi ni kanyo.
And teacher turnover is very high.
Kendo koro kaka jopuonj dhi kendo donjo bedo mamalo.
One term, a new mathematics teacher.
Term achiel japuonj kwano manyien.
Next term, no mathematics teacher.
Term achielo japuonj kwano.
The other term, another mathematics teacher.
Term achielo japuonj kwano.
He lives in the middle of the term.
Kata core term.
If Adventist schools have to perform well, two things should be done.
Mondo skunde mag jo Adwen otim maber, gik moko ariyo manyaka timre.
One,
mokwongo,
we must charge very high school fees.
Nyaka skunde go eko ket fee mamalo.
And pay teachers very well.
Mondo jopuonj bende chul maber.
That's what Segero does.
Mane gima Segero timo.
Segero school fees is very high.
School mar Segero school fee ne ni malo.
Try to charge very high school fees to our local Adventist school and tomorrow it will be closed.
Tema nena keto fee mamalo e skunde mag jo Adwen mamoko gi kinyne obolo.
My time is gone.
Thuolo serumo.
We have only scratched on the issue of Adventist education.
Wang'iyo mana matin kuom sigand somo mar jo Adwen.
Maybe two things that we have succeeded in showing.
Ni gik moko ariyo ma wasetimo maber ahinya.
One is that Adventist education is of great value.
Ni mokwongo ni somo ma ichwalo kokalo e skunde mag kanisa nigi nengo.
And two, that Adventist schools in Kenya are in a miserable condition.
Kendo machielo ni skunde mag jo Adwen ma wantiere go e Kenya ka ok dhi maber ahinya.
Who will solve this problem?
Ng'ama bro kelo duoko ne magi.
It is you.
En mana
in. It is you.
Can
you be proud of your school?
Nyaka ibed mamor ne skundi.
Stop accusing I don't know who.
Wek chwalo richo ne ng'ama chielo.
Who owns those schools?
Ng'ama ni skunde go gin mag ng'a.
If not you.
Koken in.
Well, this is just an introduction to a serious discussion that we must continue with.
Maendi en mana wachako gima nyaka wadhi malo.
Let us stand, we don't have time. Next time watu wa nyimbo mnaanza mapema ili tunakuwa na adequate discussion of such a sensitive subject.
Wachunguru malo mondo wale.
But I know pastor will organize for time. You can have education Sabbath and you invite me to come and talk on education.
Wanyalo bedo gi sabato mar puonj kasto mar somo kasto pastor obi mondo wuo malach.
Father in heaven, thank you so much for the time. We have attempted to look at the philosophy of Adventist education. We are sorry we don't have enough time. But help us, whatever little right thing that we have said, we may stick on it, expand it, and support Adventist education. The devil knows that through that avenue, our children will obtain salvation. That's why he has hit and is fighting and destroying this department. But we know, oh God, that those who believe in you will not be overcome by the devil, but they will overcome the devil. Give us more time next time so that we may exhaust this subject. Be with us in the next program because we are praying in Jesus' name. Amen.
Wapogore family life. Time orumo. Wabdhi uru kundewa. Wasekalo gi some 5 minutes. Koro ok dang wa chiw thuolo wadadhi deko nyaka ang' watieki. So ng'wona uru but kwatieko ne tubiro. Wapogre uru family life wapogre uru kundewa mojopuonj biro.